So welcome again, everyone, and we're delighted to be doing this series where we call it Dissect a Successful Dash College Application. And we've done two already in two subsequent weeks, one with a Harvard University admit and the other with an NYU Stern student. So today we are lucky to have two people representing UC Berkeley. And there's Meher. Hi, Meher. She's from Kolkata. Meher, you're on mute. So,
Yeah, sorry. Hi.
okay, super. And Ankita, who's also a team member and a dear colleague based out of Calcutta too. Hi, Ankita.
Hi Arjun, hi everyone. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great. And so this today is going to be a fun chat. And like as usual, we get to look at a successful application, the actual PDF. But before that, we just get to know each applicant a little bit for everyone present. Karthik is having some trouble logging in. So whenever he joins, I'll ask him to introduce himself again. So let's go over the flow of this event, and how it's going to be is Ankita, as usual, moderates these conversations, and I generally end up having chit chat and ramble with the students. Uh, so over to you, Ankita. What do you have in mind for Meher to answer and give us some insights, and then we'll dig deeper.
Thanks Arjun. Welcome everyone. Today it's a great afternoon, rather evening. I'd like to congratulate both Meher and Karthikeya for getting admissions to the class of 2025 at Berkeley. It's a big deal. Congratulations. You guys must be so elated, and we are so proud of you as well. I'd like to, start today by asking a few questions. What I'll do is maybe I'll ask the similar questions to both Meher, and then even Karthikeya, if you can also give in your perspective and your journey through the same way, and then maybe Arjun can give in his expert comments on some questions which I had, such that our viewers also know what it's like to apply to a highly selective college like Berkeley and what it takes to actually get in. So my first question is pretty much talking about the academic profile, which any student would have, typically so because Berkeley is one of the highly selective colleges in the US and worldwide. So Meher, could you start by also first giving a brief introduction about yourself, and then maybe talking about your academic journey and how you were able to demonstrate your interest and your passion towards studying physics at Berkeley through your application?
Hi, sure. So I'm Meher, and I'm from Kolkata. I go to La Martiniere for girls, and I took up science in my +2, and I'm intending to major in physics. So I think my academic profile played a very major role in my application. I had strong and consistent grades throughout school, and aside from these strong grades, I gave my SATs, my subject tests, and my APs. I chose to take my APs mainly because I think it was a very good platform to show that I went beyond the school curriculum. And the subjects I took my APs in were computer science A, chemistry, and calculus BC. The reason I didn't take AP in physics was because I think I had my school grades to supplement my knowledge in physics, but I didn't have too much depth in the other subjects. That is why I chose to take the APs in the other subjects. And since I was applying for physics, I think I really wanted to do two research projects, which I ended up doing. The first one was to address the problem of drinking water scarcity in India, and I took part in a competition where I actually created a physical prototype of a device that converts water vapor into drinking water. And in addition to that, I created a model of a device to roast corn kernels with minimal carbon emissions. So throughout, like, as a result of these projects, I could demonstrate the physics angle too. But in addition to that, I think something that I'm really passionate about is the environment that really came through uh, both the projects. And it covered both the angles equally well. So this is, I think, what I showed my physics interest.
Yeah, that's a great introduction. I think academic depth cannot be replaced at some of these highly selective schools. But Kartikeya, I know you had a very interesting journey, but slightly different. Uh, and so tell me a
Yeah.
bit about your early high school and how you started finding your.
Yeah. I would say in my profile, academics would probably be the least flattering thing. But yeah, so pretty much till 10th standard, I was in CBSE, and I think it wasn't about the grades I got, it was about the upward slope that
Yeah.
kind of projected to the college as well, that I can do more, I have a lot more potential. So till 8th grade, I used to get pretty mediocre marks. In 9th grade, I got, I think, 90%. In 10th grade, I got 91. In 11th, I switched to IB. And then in my first term, they don't give me grades in first term. In the second term, I got a 37. And in the third term, I got 38. So I think it wasn't just that, but it was also just like an upward slope that just kept going. In my IB, I had maths AHL, physics HL, economics HL, and chemistry SL, self-taught SL, and English Lang and Lit SL. So yeah,
Okay,
that's
great.
pretty
Also,
much
the
it.
other thing which I clearly saw was the connection between things that you did for academics, be it participating in and starting a club and being a founding member of
Yes, yes.
Absolute Physics and stuff that you did there, or even creating this vehicle which could navigate different landscapes and pick up plastic waste. So, how did those ideas come about, and how did you connect it with your interest in physics?
I would say, first of all, just look for something that you actually enjoy, that you will actually like doing, and think of the linkage later. Just think of the things that you would like doing first. So that's why I didn't know if I wanted to do engineering, if I wanted to do physics, if I wanted to do computer science or whatever. I was just like, there is a competition that I want to participate in, and I want to make something, I want to lead a team. So yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Very similar to what,
Same with,
Meher also sort of started doing by looking at projects she could work on and genuinely sort of appreciate how she can apply science and physics in particular. Uh, the other things that pretty much was interesting in your application was your love for astrophysics and beyond just the engineering aspect that came through in different parts of the application, even the internship, and later on when we read the essays, we can get a sense of that too. Uh, what do you think? How did that interest get inspired, and how did it transpire?
I mean, it was actually kind of like the opposite, Arjun. I had the astrophysics interest first, and
Mhm.
then I kind of came into physics. So that's why it's like I don't even know. I've been interested in it since I was a little kid. So yeah, I mean, it was obvious that it would get reflected in my essays and even in some of my activities. So yeah,
Fantastic. So
I
just
think, yeah, yeah.
go ahead. So just also just wanted you to rewind and tell viewers where you are and why did you end up where you are today, like location wise. From
Okay.
I know
So I am from Agra in India. But for my high school, so 11th and 12th grade, I am in Mostar right now in Bosnia and Herzegovina because I have been admitted to a UWC. So yeah, it's pretty much like a organization which has a mission of kind of uniting people through education and to give them a kind of edge in kind of how to set up an ideology in their mind for sustainability right now, rather than slowing it down and just focusing on academics right now. So yeah, I'm pretty much part of that. So yeah, and they follow the IB curriculum. Yeah.
super. So I'm sure there's been a huge transformation in terms of your understanding of world issues and diversity and beyond just sustainability. There's
Yes, yes,
much more.
yes.
So
Yeah,
we'll,
yeah.
we'll gather those threads as we move along. So Ankita, over to you. We could discuss the extracurriculars or essays, anything that you want to move ahead.
So I think I'd like to discuss, move on to the extracurriculars bit. So maybe the non-academic part. I know, Meher, you also had a very similar journey as to maybe figuring out what extracurriculars you wanted to do over the past couple of years, and adding to the pandemic, which is currently happening, and how those limitations really, hampered many of your passions, maybe. So, talk a little bit about, the extracurriculars you have been doing in school or outside school, as well as maybe how you were able to innovate and do something different over the last 1 year due to the pandemic, and how you were able to adapt yourself.
So I think my extracurriculars were really affected because of the pandemic. So there were quite a few things that I had in mind and I couldn't do. So firstly would be I couldn't make a physical model for the project that I mentioned earlier because um, I think, I don't know, because obviously because of the restrictions, I couldn't go out and I had to complement that with a sketch. So that was one thing that was really affected. But I tried to make most out of it. So I took part in the Breakthrough Junior Challenge by Khan Academy, which was you had to create a video explaining a concept in 3 minutes. So that was a very great opportunity to explore even the topics that interest me in physics. And then I've been passionate about photography for a really long time. So I had quite a few activities in school revolving photography. So I was a part of the photography department of the editorial board of our school, then part of the core committee of the photography club in our school. And of course, like since I had science, so I was a part of the science club. And I took a few online courses because I mean that's how I could make most out of the pandemic. And I also did an internship, just to show that I could commit to something intense, extracurricular based, in addition to my academics. So I think that's it.
Yeah, that's great. Good to know that you've been super busy in high school while at home. So, very often students talk about how it's difficult to continue doing things, especially when you're an outdoorsy person playing a sport or going out and performing together. Uh, I know the world has changed, but so is our ability to adapt. We I think as a human race we've demonstrated that, and kudos to you and Kartikeya for having been able to do many things. Kartikeya, I know you were away from school too for almost a term because school did not open or you chose not to go. How was it that during the pandemic you kept at it in terms of doing things online?
Yeah.
Extracurricular. And talk about some
I
of your extracurriculars as well.
Yeah, sure. I would say, Arjun, especially if you're on a STEM field right now, it's really about what you can do online. It's
Naresh,
about your, I don't know, like
Naresh,
your um
Naresh.
Sure. Okay. Fine.
someone's
And then
okay. So yeah, uh, so it's kind of about what you can do online and kind of like how you can be up to date, how you can adapt to whatever situation is kind of thrown at you. So yeah, for my extracurriculars, I would say I had a blog. I started Absolute Physics. I was also part of Raymond Sphere, so which is a math club. So it was like all these things could be done online as well, and also required a lot of intellectual, brainstorming, and a lot of programming, and things like that. So I would say those kind of fueled it, and I would say luckily for me, before the pandemic happened, I had a couple of activities which were more outgoing, kind of like the internship and the astrophysics camp. So it was like those things just worked out.
fantastic. So, when you talk about different initiatives and some of the student-led club activities, I'd like to sort of let students know. Many of you are already familiar with what we do, Ankita and I and our team at EdBrand. But for those who just joined in, I'd like to share my screen and sort of give you an insight into what you could, even if you're not currently enrolled with our programs, sort of be looking out for. So we have many clubs where students participate in, say, a computer science society called HackEd, where there are uh, hackathons every quarter. Absolute Physics, the club which Kartikeya was part of and leading for a term. The Raymond Sphere, which is more of a math club where kids can publish articles and do projects together. We also do the Julia Robinson Math Festival online. So this year we're doing it twice, and that will be something anyone can sign up for. Under the Microscope is a life sciences, biology focused club. Treen India is an environment sustainability club. And we also have ODDLE, which is a humanities and liberal arts focused projects based club where students showcase their visual arts, design, literature, writing, long form journalism, and many other sort of skills, talents, and gifts. So, moving on, I think, Ankita, you might want to take the lead now and sort of open the floor to questions or even talk about essays. It's up to you.
So I'd like to just highlight a key part of the UC application, and for many students here who may not be aware that the UC application is different. They are a separate application other than the Common App. So if you're applying to UC Berkeley, UCLA, and many other UCs which are there, you apply through a separate application altogether, which also means that you have to choose 4 separate essays from a list of 8 essays, again, different from the Common App. And today, maybe we can take out some time, Arjun, Kartikeya, Meher, and just discuss how did you guys go about approaching those essays? Maybe Arjun, if we could, pull up Kartikeya's application, we could, the students here could see what exactly he wrote. And we could also discuss that, how he was able to, both Meher and Kartikeya, how they were able to utilize the space provided, the platform provided through the essays on how to showcase different aspects of their personality, and showcase that their interest in certain areas was something which they wanted the college admissions officers to know about them.
Okay, super. Yeah, I think just to also let everyone here know that the Common Application is one platform where you use to apply to most colleges in the US. And then there are independent applications to colleges like University of California, which have their own independent application. So UCs have their own application. Berkeley is part of UCs, and they have 4 questions. And these are listed here. So the first one is describe an example of your leadership experience in which you've positively influenced others, helped resolve disputes, or contributed to a group effort over time. Now, we could read this, but I think it'd be best to hear from Kartikeya, and I can also lend, because I've not asked Kartikeya to prepare for this, he just jumped straight into it. But yeah, you ended up writing about the competition entry, the British International Education Association STEM Youth Competition, and your ability to work in a new setting, like in UWC Mostar, meeting and working with international students, probably in such close proximity for the first time, and then learning what leadership actually means to you. So yeah, tell us why you chose to write this, and why was this a leadership experience you felt was important part of your journey?
Well, I think this was pretty much because I have had other leadership experiences, but I kind of thought that was the one that I have kind of reflected on myself before starting writing the essay. And it's been enough time since this activity happened that I was able to kind of bring in like a new perspective that I've learned, or just something that I could elaborate on, and I could put my thoughts in, and not just write like a sequence of events that happened. So that's just what I went through with. And when I started writing the essay, it was just that just read at the title and kind of focus on how you can highlight those aspects of what the question is asking, but at the same time make a coherent story that is your story pretty much. So yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I think what stood out for me was the learning, as in like accepting that you had to change a little bit, and being that vulnerable on paper, and then accepting that this change could work or not work in terms of your leadership style, and then finally sort of demonstrating that it did work. So that's super great work, and I'm happy that you wrote this topic. So as we see, the UCs have 4 prompts, and the first one was about leadership and impact that you make. Now, for every student we work with in the 10th grade or 11th grade, starting early in the journey, we look at the UC essays as a very good way to start thinking of essay writing. The prompts are unique because it's sort of there are 4 specific prompts which guide you to understand how a college admissions officer would think and would want to know about you. And then if you answer these well, or even start writing initial drafts with a good storyline, you have a very good base or a material base for other essays and even your Common App essays. So,
Amarjan,
yeah, go ahead.
there are actually 7 questions. I
Yeah.
need to pick 4 out of them.
Absolutely. So
So yeah.
choosing those 4 is also telling the admissions officer as to what and why you sort of want to choose that. So thanks for correcting that. It's an interesting sort of game the admissions officers are also playing to understand whether you're smart enough to pick different aspects of your personality, strengths, gifts, talents, and project them in different essays. I know, Kartikeya, I also call you Jadu. Your pet name is that you were so much into doing research about the UCs. And my colleague Sonia, who's an application mentor, keeps talking about how you were very involved. And so I don't see you now, but Meher, I know you might have done your research on UCs. But do you think it got reflected in some part of your essay in some way?
I think, yeah, it did. But obviously, it was a little different than the Y college essays that we write for the other ones. But somehow, I think for Berkeley, just showing that academic uh, part through the academic subject prompt was, I think, something that I was really keen on doing because Berkeley is such an academically oriented school. So that, and I think choosing the topics just in a way that you actually play to your strengths was really important. So I think I try to do that only just to show the personality traits that I think most important to display. So accordingly, I think I chose the topics.
Sure. So I think that's an important thing. Like the since it's Berkeley and it's a large school, so many people apply. It's definitely a place where they don't want to waste their time uh, trying to figure out what you really like. So they have this question: think about an academic subject that inspires you. Describe how you have furthered this interest inside and outside of the classroom. And I know, Kartikeya, you had a fairly interesting journey while writing this essay. So is there something that you'd like to share?
Um, well, not really. All I can say is that at Berkeley, like an insane amount of students apply. So all I would like to say is kind of highlight your niche, kind of like your specific interest. Don't let that die down and be more general. Maybe if like I'm into philosophy, but no, that's a bit, there are not too many people in that. I'm going to switch to political science or something. Don't do that. Stick to your niche. That way you'll be able to actually set yourself apart.
Okay, so don't choose just a kind of exotic course because you overanalyze that you might get in. Go with your passion. It'll definitely show in your essays. And yeah, I think that's the best way to impress anyone. So again, I'm not really here sort of asking you to read these essays, but they are open as we have these conversations. If you're reading them, very good. But yeah, happy to keep going on with the rest discussion. So the other essay which we skipped earlier was what Kartikeya you picked was every person has a creative side, so creativity. Um, and it can be expressed in many ways: problem solving, original and innovation thinking, and artistically, to name a few. Describe how you express your creative side. You chose theater now, and that thing has been part of your life, and I've seen you for many years now, earlier with your sister working with us, and then you tagging along, and then finally working with you. uh, so yeah, it's an interesting right brain left brain combination, so it sort of helps the reader or an admissions officer appreciate uh, that side of you. Is there something that you were thinking other than theater or it was quite natural to pick this, and why?
Yeah. I mean, it kind of leans in back to what I said earlier. I was thinking about writing about my tattoos that I draw. Have you seen them, Arjun? Yeah, so I was gonna do them before, but then I just felt like they haven't matured in my life the way theater has, and those activities haven't fully grown and fully developed in my mind yet. So that's why I changed to theater.
Fantastic. And then finally, there's this fourth question, which is, what have you done to make your school or community a better place? Now, this is obviously back again in Agra. So you have one or two activities which are Mostar, or and then you had something which you were doing in ninth and 10th grade. So is that something by choice, or you wanted to highlight something which was back?
Not really by choice, but I guess it kind of helped me in a way because they kind of got an idea of my, my journey pretty much, not only just the final product.
And also sort of
But
the
yeah,
environments in which you were able to do or take initiative. The two different
yeah,
places.
yeah.
Yeah, one in a boarding school, in a international school setting, and one back home. Meher, do you think of any of your essays, and you have any reflections? Which topics did you choose or remember?
So I chose the academic subject prompt to obviously just show my interest in physics. Then I chose the creativity prompt too, because I think I wanted to talk about photography and like it really fit well. Creativity and photography really complemented well. So that was one topic that I chose. Then the other prompt that I chose was um, a little different. I wrote about Sudoku. So it's something that it's a very everyday activity that many people indulge in, but I kind of wanted to show the life skills that I gained from that. So for that, I chose the greatest skill or talent prompt. There's a prompt in which you can like what's your greatest skill or talent. So that prompt. And the fourth one, I wanted to talk about origami, and there wasn't really a prompt that was fitting, but the seventh prompt is an open-ended prompt, can which you can talk about anything. It's what do you believe makes you a strong candidate. So I spoke about origami in that prompt, and I had a lot of learnings from that. So I think just highlighting what an activity helps me learn was something that really came throughout the application. I think through two essays, like the photography essay and the origami essay as well. So that was something that really, I think, made a difference.
Okay, great. So there's also one section in the app, even in the common app, where you can mention more in detail about other things, or even add additional comments or life experiences, or the way maybe life got disrupted during COVID. And I know, Jadu, Kartika, you had mentioned something. And was there a lot of thought, or you just said, why not? Let me just add this.
Well, I was gonna like my essays, I was gonna present my whole journey. So I
Mhm.
had to acknowledge this part at least. I couldn't just completely miss it from except one activity. It was just like not very fleshed out, and it was creating like a spot in that application where they just have no idea what you were doing then.
Right.
So I had to kind of clarify it, and I thought like the additional comments was a nice place to do that. So
Right. This is the COVID lockdown last year, when everything, pretty much the whole world, came to a standstill, and then dealing with it and doing different things and dealing with the family situation. So that's super. I think we've wrapped up the application part. There are, of course, activities which are individual to both Meher and uh, Karthikeya. We could address some of those, and if there's something unique, Meher, you would like to highlight in the way you sort of chose to mention all your activities. And there are 15 spots on the UC application for all kinds of achievements, or like it's kind of grouped in different parts, unlike the common app, which has like 10 slots, which is, I think, a good way to do it. And it sort of guides even the admissions officer to sort of think of ways you prioritize one achievement or activity or volunteering activity. So, Meher, would you like to start and say, okay, what are the top three you wanted to highlight? And what was the key description elements which you sort of chose to talk about it? I know we covered this right in the beginning also a little bit, but is there something you'd like to share?
I think I really agree with you that the Common App is better in this because the awards and honor section is different. So I think that is one thing that I struggled with a little in the UC app because I couldn't really decide the importance that I should place the honors and the activities in. So, but the three most important, I think the first one would be the Indo-French competition that I took part in, and I placed third. So that was the Young Innovators Challenge that I was talking about, the one in which I created a physical prototype. So that one, and I think then the corn kernel roaster that I made, and I think then would be my academic awards. I think these three I would place most important.
So what I like about the way, even though you described it briefly, was that there is some impact, right? So you've done something awarded, or in this case, Kartikeya, you were founder of a student-led club, and there's specific activities you were participating in, and there's a link to the club as well, so admissions officers can view it. Of course, even in this one, the challenge and the competition where you also participated in, there's a specific role which you have. If it's a team activity, mention that. Then specifically, what did you do? In this case, Kartikeya, you built a vehicle which could pick up waste, plastic waste, and then there's this report and there's a link to everything. So it just kind of makes it for an admissions officer who wants to go dig deeper and even share your material with, say, a professor. I mean, frankly, they don't have time to do that, but they just quickly read it. They're very knowledgeable people. They're very well read on various subjects. They've read applications from students from so many countries. Probably they don't have time to send it to a professor, but they can get a sense whether it was genuine sort of work of passion or whether it was just something just put together in a hurry. So I think being specific, showing impact in all your activity descriptions is the key. And I think anyone can be taught how to do it. It's just a matter of paying attention. So with that, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. But before that, I'd obviously let everyone know in our audience that we do have our next college fair on 9th April, which is Friday, and it's from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. India time. I know most of you are, other than say Kartikeya, logging in from India. Do join in. We'll not only have college admissions officers talk about different topics like how to deal with now the second year of COVID and applications and the pitfalls of school closures, no exams, SAT, ACT changes, all that will continue this year too, it seems. And other topics could be even looking at funding and scholarships, to even understanding the landscape in terms of different countries and post-study work opportunities that are offered at these places. So there's lots to learn on 9th April at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Our Instagram page obviously keeps announcing different things, so follow that. Our website and Insta is right here. We have a few new organizations other than the college admissions officers joining. There's an American artificial intelligence school called Future School, and they'll be there. There'll be many more organizations which do a whole lot of work in from community service to critical thinking to debate and speech, would also be presenting their ideas and projects for students. So look forward. Ankita, you want to do the wrap up? Anything I missed? You want to cover that too? Feel free.
Thank you, Arjun. Thank you, Meher. Thank you, Kartikeya. It was a really insightful event. I think I, for one, learned a little bit more about the Berkeley, or rather the UC application. There were parts of it which I had also not come across, but thank you. I hope everyone here found it really useful. We could take the next couple of minutes for any questions. If anybody has in the audience, then please feel free to type it out in the comment section on your right, and we can address them. If not, then hopefully see you on Friday at the college fair.
At the fair, also just forgot to announce, we have a keynote speaker, and she's an interesting example of someone who's pursued two sort of passions. One is music, and through music now activism, but also while she was in college, she did a psychology and global health sort of major. So a very interesting speaker, change maker, a youth icon will be present, and many other sort of folks too. So feel free to ask questions at this forum now, and we can also wrap up in a few minutes. Okay, so we don't see students, but I'm going to leave my details behind in case you're all interested in sending questions my way. Feel free to do that. Here's my email ID. Ankita, if you want to leave yours, that would be good too. So Jadu and Meher, thank you. And in case students want to reach you directly, and if you want to leave your contact details behind, it'll be awesome. So yes, and the most modern thing to do would be to give an Instagram handle. So emails don't work anymore, it seems. So lovely. So Meher, what about you? Are you an Instagram person? Also, great. Fine. So be it. So I'll also leave mine just for the heck of it. Probably the first time I open it after a few weeks. So fantastic, everyone. Look forward to being in touch, and with a new series post the fair, we'll announce more Dissect Your Dash College application webinars. So long and be safe. And thank you, Kartikeya. Thank you, Meher.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Anytime.
Bye. Thanks, Arjun.
Thank you.